Engine starting. Right ignition and engine start switch on. Here's the right engine. Clear right. Alright, we got rotation. Oil pressure's coming up. RPM N1 stabilized about 18%. Right engine low idle. Fuel flow, light up. Right engine high idle setting. Above 50%. Right starter off. Right generator on. Starting left engine, right generator off. Left engine starter on. We got rotation. Oil pressure's coming up. N1 stabilized about 18%. Left engine, fuel cut off to low idle. And we got fuel flow, light off. Right generator on. About 50%, left starter off, and left generator on. Right engine condition lever, low idle. Engine starting complete. Go with the air conditioning to auto. Vent blower onto high. Aft blower on. Coming across, we got beacon on. Inverter on. 1 or 2. And avionics master power on. After starting and taxi, inverter is on. DC voltage load meters check. Right now both are at 40% and balanced, and pressing in the voltmeters gives us the DC volts, and currently they're at 28 volts each. AC voltage and frequency check. Currently we're at 405 hertz and 120 volts AC. Avionics master switch is on. Lights is required. We got the beacon on. Cabin temp and mode is on auto. Instruments check. And the brakes check. And we'll go into the before takeoff run-up. Alright, in the run-up area, parking brake will come on by holding brake pressure and using 2 hands, applying the plunger and pulling out on the parking brake. Then we can go to the run-up checklist before takeoff run-up. Avionics and radar is checked. We've already used the COM2 radio and before we left for the ATIS, and we've verified the COM1 works by contacting ground on COM1. Radar normally switched to standby for ground operations, making sure you don't have weather on unless you're away from ground personnel. Pressurization check. Pressure controller should be 1,000 feet below field elevation from a column that happens to be about 0 or sea level pressure. And to test the cabin pressurization, set the pressure controller to sea level and pull up and hold down on the test function. What you'll notice and what you're looking for is a descent in the cabin climb, and it starts out very slowly, and it should stabilize about a 500 foot a minute descent rate, trying to pressurize the cabin to sea level pressure. And you might notice on the big needle there with the cabin pressure altimeter, and you can feel it in your ears now. We're pressurizing about 1,500 feet a minute down to sea level. Once you let go, it's going to see the cabin pressure climb about opposite of what it was pressurizing at, 1,500, 2,000 feet a minute if you stand there and hold it. And indicates that the cabin is pressurizing. Then the pressure controller can be run up to your desired cruising altitude plus 1,000 feet on the inner scale. Pressurization is checked. Autopilot check will be a separate video. Electric elevator trim control. You can check both sides by pushing in both controllers, observing that the wheel moves in the proper direction, and the co-pilot side as well. And the takeoff position is 2 indicators up from 0. So the second line up from 0 will be a takeoff position. So the electric elevator trim control is set, and trim tabs are set with all 3 on 0, except for the elevator trim control being set at 2 up. Engine controls and friction locks, that's subjective. Depends on the pilot's preference, but for the run-up, tend to be a little bit loose, so you can move them free without being restrained there. Flaps check and set. Check the flaps. You run the flaps all the way down to the full down position, watching the indicator go down all the way to down, verifying that it is all the way down, and then come all the way up to 0, and then stop it at some intermediate position to see that it does stop at some position selected, and then all the way up, indicating 0 or all the way up flaps. That's the flaps checked and set. Flight controls free and correct. Watching the aileron movement, and nice and free movement throughout, as well as the rudder pedals. Overspeed governors and rudder boost test. Down on the left lower panel, there's the prop governor test switch, spring loaded to the off position. Hold it up into test mode, starting with the left engine, also applying a little bit of brake just to make sure the parking brake is functioning properly. Start raising the RPM up until you're at the primary governor. It'll be about 1850 on the RPM, but you should notice that torque never exceeds 1,000 foot-pounds. With the prop lever on the left side, bring it slowly back to the detent before feather, and you're looking for 1630 to 1690, I think it is. We'll correct that on the video. And then back up slowly to the governor well, to where it was, full props, full forward. Increasing the torque until you feel rudder boost kick in by the deflection of the left rudder pedal. There it is, cautioning not to over torque the engine, and extinguish any caution messages you get. Same thing on the right hand side. Moving the power lever up till the governor, overspeed governor, takes over. Again, tends to be about 800 foot-pounds of torque. Pulling the prop lever back for the right engine, again about 1600 to 1690, and back up to the primary governor. Increasing the power lever on the right side until you feel the right rudder boost kick in. Again, observing that to over-torque the engine. And that's the overspeed rudder boost governor test. That is complete. And extinguish any caution lights you have. Primary governors exercise at 1800 RPM. Again, 1800 RPM is a low torque setting, and you can use both of them at the same time. A couple times on the exercise should be correct because you've already done that with the overspeed rudder boost test. Engine instrument vacuum and de-ice pressure check at 1800 RPM. So we're at 1800 RPM right now. The bleed air valves, we're going to check the left one first. Left one should come off. You should see a left bleed air off status message in green, and the pressurization should still be good on both the pneumatic pressure and the gyro section. Both bleed air valves to the off position should give you a second green light on the status message here, a master caution, and also a master caution for both bleed air valves, indicating that the bleed air valve are both off and the pressure has gone to 0. Then you're going to test the left one independent, and you notice that the pressure returns back to normal. The light's extinguished and there's no master caution warning. And then finally, the right engine bleed air valve is on, back to the normal position. Ice vanes checked. We've got them extended right now for FOD. can check the retraction by putting to retract left and right, and you'll notice a slight increase, or a slight decrease now in ITT and an increase in torque, and it's marginal as they retract. You see them fully closed. And then the opposite, if you open the ice vanes at 1800 RPM, you'll see a slight increase in ITT and a slight decrease in torque, showing you that the air is bypassing through the ice vanes, a portion of it. All right, auto feather check. Auto feather test switch is held into the arm position. And you'll notice that the auto feather switches, auto feather lights will be on at around 500 foot-pounds of torque. If they aren't, just raise the power lever up until both lights are on. Starting with the left engine, bring that down to idle. You'll see the left engine, or left auto feather switch flash and the right auto feather switch extinguish, indicating that the left auto feather is working properly. And the same with the right side. Pull it back to idle. You'll notice the left auto feather light has extinguished and the right auto feather switch light is flashing. So both auto feathers have tested to be operative. And then auto feather switch goes to the arm mode, and you can bring the power levers back to idle. Prop feathering should be done at idle, and you can check the prop feathering by bringing both prop levers into the feather position momentarily and watching the prop RPM just decrease from about 1100 RPM to about, I wouldn't go any lower than about 500 RPM, so no lower than about 1700 RPM, and back up into the full forward, showing that they will manually feather. Fuel quantity, flight and engine instruments checked. Checking both aux tanks at 0 in this particular instance, and the main tanks being where they are and proper for your flight. Before takeoff, final items: bleed air valves, make sure they are open. I'll put a note in there about you can have them in just environmental, for hot days, and they recommend that. And then to make sure that they're both on for takeoff. So bleed air valves open. Annunciator lights, extinguisher considered. We've got certain lights here that are open and on right now, and we're considering those. The pitot heat lights are on and the ice vanes are extended, and that's normal for now. Transponder, altitude, ice protection is required, and engine auto ignition arm. Engine auto ignitioners are there. And we'll stop it there for now.